Welcome to the Change Energizer Hot Seat Podcast, the place where leaders are dropped into the hot seat to open up about high-stake wins and reveal the trust X factor behind their triumphs. I'm your host, Scott Carley, the Trust Energizer. I believe the confidence people have in the way you show up, your character and expertise is the real game changer. When trust is high, teams don't just perform, they pull off legendary Super Bowl wins. Today's guest is Ken Kladouris from Newport Beach, president of Platinum Wealth Group and founder of Seize the Second. You call Ken when you want to grow your passive real estate income through 1031 exchanges and accelerate your life mission and dreams. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you, Scott. Happy to be here today. Excited for our conversation.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time. So why don't you tell the audience what you do and who you serve?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I have two businesses. One is Platinum Wealth Group, where we're a wealth management company with a specialty in 1031 exchange real estate transactions, which basically allows you to defer your tax from the sale of a piece of real estate if you buy another one. And we help facilitate that into a passive option where clients can really just get a check on the 15th of every month and enjoy themselves and not have to deal with the toilets, tenants, and trash that are usually the headache of real estate ownership. And on the kind of passion side, I founded Seize the Second, I think about 4 or 5 years ago now. And right there, we're really trying to help people tap into their authentic self and shed those beliefs that have been accumulated over a lifetime and help them step into their voice and create the success that they want in their life and do it in a way that feels right, connected, and really helps them accelerate their life and their experience.
Oh man, I love both of those. And that's really why I had you on the show, because you're into two major things that can make such a big difference in how people accumulate wealth and how they do it in a smart way, and then how they feel about themselves and how they get rid of limiting beliefs to become the people that can enjoy the wealth that they're creating. So I'm looking forward to what you have to share with us today. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So Ken, here's what we both know. Every one of your clients, prospects, and decision makers are silently asking you a series of trust-based questions before they ever sign a deal. They may not say it out loud, but they're scanning for signals, looking for proof that you're someone they can rely on, collaborate with, and work alongside. So that's exactly why I created the Trust Credit Score, a framework built around the 5 key signals of trust. Your vibe check, your agenda and motives. Do you walk your talk? Can you actually deliver? And do you have receipts? So today, I'm putting you in the hot seat to answer some of the top 8 questions that your clients are already consciously or unconsciously asking about your professional services. So Ken, I guess my first question is, what is the wildest high-stake challenge your team has ever faced where failure would have been a nightmare?
It's an interesting question. I would say that honestly, for years, early in my career, I felt like everything was high stakes, right? And I think people can relate with that, and because some things that are maybe some minuscule things or little small seem to be these huge things in the moment, and later you look back like, oh, that wasn't a big deal. And when I was early in my career, like I mentioned, I thought everything was high stakes. So when you're running nonstop, chasing your goals, trying to build the business or the future, the career, the family that you want, you have to say yes to everything, you feel like. And that just creates this sense of high stakes, challenge, fear. And you felt like everything was a gamble and that I couldn't lose any of them, right? So you're constantly just exerting yourself and doing that. And in the end,
it's exhausting.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, in the end, I was just exhausted and disconnected from myself and not enjoying the success that I was working hard for in the moment.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say the wildest high stakes challenge I actually did was years later when I decided to step away from everything and did something that I don't think most people would ever do. And when you hear this, you're probably gonna be like, wait, you did what? And we can talk about it. But I decided to step away from everything and spend 5 days in complete silence. So no
Wow.
phone, yeah, no phone, no TV, no email, no text messages, no radio, no nothing, no talking, just me, myself, and I for 5 days.
That is a long time, 5 days. And where were you? Where'd you go?
Yeah, so at that time, I was doing a lot of work with the Chopra Center, Deepak Chopra, and that was in Asilomar, which is in like Northern California, right on the coast. It was a frightening experience the first year I ever did it. Um, but now it's an annual thing for me because I just get so much out of it. But yeah,
Wow.
it's similar to you and other people, right? You have your business, your family, all of those demands that, to your point, feel like high stakes. You have to deal with them in the moment. And to just step away from that all for 5 days and be like, you all are going to have to survive. The team's going to have to do what the team does. When I come back, we'll talk. But in the meantime, it's up to everybody else, and you're going to survive without me. Was a lesson in what is really high stakes and what's not.
Yeah, I really love that. And I admire that you did it for yourself. I think those are things are super critically important. I don't know that I've ever done anything quite like that for 5 days. I mean, with no phone. Yeah, I can't imagine going on a motorcycle trip for 5 days and setting my phone aside and enjoying, but I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I could understand how the silence would be deafening.
yeah.
So, what's a couple of things that you pulled out of that that really were game changers for you? What were they?
Yeah. Well, to your point, so your mind does start to get louder. For me, like the first 3 days were much louder than a normal day because you don't have distractions, right? You're not riding a motorcycle or seeing some scenery. You're just kind of sitting there. Uh, so that was one that my thoughts are going to come and go as they come and go. And if I don't give them attention and I can't verbalize what I'm thinking and make it a big deal, it'll just go away and my mind will move on to another thought. And there's this constant barrage of thoughts coming up that just never really stopped. And they just kept getting louder and louder and louder. But if you don't pay attention to them or you don't give them attention, they kind of just go away. So that was one of the main things of just more of observing your thoughts as being controlled by them. So that was a big thing for me. And the other one, which I think was the most profound for me and I carry with me every day, was the idea and truly unshakable understanding of impermanence. And what I mean by that,
Into that, what
I was gonna say,
impermanence?
impermanence is just like that nothing is permanent. Like everything in life is temporary. The highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the wins, the losses, it's all is impermanent and is going to change at some point because nothing really lasts forever. So that impermanence, and again, from knowing, not from like me saying like, oh, Scott, you should just believe in impermanence or, don't set the outcome and don't worry about it. Like when somebody just tells you it, it's like you don't embody it because you haven't experienced it. But to experience that understanding of impermanence is a very freeing experience.
Wow, I think that's so cool, and I give you a lot of credit. You know, your trust score just went up. I give you a lot of credit because many people, in my opinion, need to sit down for a minute, look in the mirror, look around, and say, "Who am I? And what are my fears are, or what are my thoughts, and how am I managing my thoughts, and how am I managing who I am and who I want to be?" And boy, those 5 days of silence. Wow. Um,
Right? I mean, just imagine just 5 seconds of silence here between us, and it's like you just want to talk. Like, why is it quiet? And you do that for 5 days, it definitely leaves an impact. And so, yeah, I'd agree. Like, for me, that is the highest stake challenge. Wasn't a deal or a moment or a goal. It was actually having the courage to face myself and come out and go for and reach my fullest potential. Because when I did, the future that I imagined became even more vivid, more expansive than I ever thought possible.
Wow.
And it all came from just facing myself.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that. I can certainly see how some people would be terrified to face themselves, but that's a subject for another day. Okay. Well, I want to dive into some of these other um, things, some of these other questions that I think your clients are asking. You know, when they come in the room, they sit down or a Zoom or whatever it is, they've got this question in them, and whether they actually articulate it or not, I think a lot of us are saying, Ken, can you decode my chaos and hand me a real strategy fast? Or are you just giving me some recycled Instagram wisdom and hoping that I won't notice?
Would you notice? I'm just kidding. No, I get that. And, I think that there are so many influencers now and just different people sharing their insights as if they were experts. And I think that could lead people awry. And so I think this is a great question. Um, and it's really tough, I think, to, in a world of sound bites, right? You have 3 seconds to get somebody's attention. Um, to have a good sound bite is one thing, but to actually be able to transform somebody and take them, from chaos to a real strategy is a whole other thing, because I don't think anybody expects, I don't know how you define fast, but, I don't think it's in 3 seconds that somebody thinks that they're going to solve their problem. And so understanding what real strategies are, what really works, and the time commitment necessary to do that. So one of the assessments that we do in Seize the Second is the Clifton Gallup's Strengths Finder. Don't know if you're familiar with it, but basically it tells you your strengths as a person. And it does a couple things that I found for myself and for clients. One, it actually validates kind of how you feel about yourself and your strengths.
Yeah, that's important to me. That takes care of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, right. And it gives you permission to lean into your strengths and do the things you're good at. So many people are like, oh, focus on your weaknesses and do this. And you're like, but I'm naturally good at this. And like, this is where I should be doing. And it gives them permission to pursue that in a more meaningful manner. And for me, so one of my top 5 strengths is a learner. You might have guessed that because I do all these things. But I'm always interested in learning, lifetime learner. And so when I become interested in something, I almost become obsessed with it. And I just learn as much as possible. I mean, that's why I do the 1031 exchanges. It's much more in depth than like a traditional real estate investment or just wealth management. And on the coaching side, the same thing. I dived in deep and did silence retreats and a bunch of training just so I understood and embodied what I was teaching or doing from a place of authenticity and experience, not from learning it on something that I happened to watch on TV or that I saw on the news, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
I love what you're saying, because what I'm hearing is that you come in with an assessment, you come in with a strategy and some tools, not a 3 second soundbite, and just something that we could do at a bar over a glass of bourbon or something. But you are somebody who has a system, and so you can decode my chaos through some of those assessments. So it's not just that you're getting decoded, but or understanding, but they're understanding too. Both of you are coming to understand what's really going on. It's not just a quickie thing.
exactly. And I guess that just kind of leads me to one of the things. So I wrote a book years ago and I still practice this. I think that most people, maybe you find this as well, don't have a clear vision of what they want in their life. They've never taken the time to sit with themselves and ask themselves, like, who am I as an individual? Who am I in a relationship? What do I want my future to look like? And what is my fullest and best use of my potential in my life? But those aren't questions most people ask. And if, I think in general, they actually ignore those questions, right? They'll do anything not to face that. And they'll keep themselves busy and distracted. But with us, and Seize the Second, and in my just personal belief, getting the answer to those questions gives you clarity from chaos. It allows you to understand what's the best next move, where you're going, and to make real decisions based on your destination and your goal, as opposed to just reacting to whatever comes in the moment.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're reacting, you're not in control. If
Yeah.
you don't Covey wrote that book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and there was a lot of great stuff. But the number one thing that he wrote in there that changed my life was be proactive.
Yeah.
And proactive is being intentional with your life. I love what you're saying about those different areas. We came up with a thing about 9 areas of work-life balance, and it may have not been the best name for them, but it's 9 areas. Everything from domestic to relational to financial to work to working out and whatever it was, hobbies and all of those things. And one of the things that I discovered about that is you you don't give the same amount of time or energy to all of those. It's not equally divided. Some of those don't take but just a little bit of energy and time, and that goes a long way. But the fact that you can touch all 9 of those in a week and say, oh, now I've got some real balance to who I am. Not that I gave equal amount of time to all of them, but I'm just conscious of what I'm touching. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say.
No, that's exactly it. And I mean, we actually have like a online course that walks people through creating a vision for each area of their life and kind of understanding the strategy and what's important to them about that and the beliefs that are supporting them in reaching that goal and the beliefs that are hindering them from reaching it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Thank you. I love that. And you've kind of already answered the next question I was going to ask you was, are you in this for me or just padding your client list? And uh, your comments have already answered that question in that you're telling me you're really paying attention to me and what is making me click. Is that right?
I mean, I hope so. Uh, you know, I think the easiest way for me to answer this is by almost saying no. And what I mean is saying no to people is really difficult. Most people don't want to do that. And, when it's in work or business or something, you always want to say yes and kind of accommodate people. But I've found in my business, whether it's on the real estate side or the coaching side, like we're creating a real professional partnership here. We're going to spend a lot of time together. We're going to be communicating maybe for a decade. So if I sell you something and you don't know what you're buying and you feel like I duped you, we're going to have a very rough relationship
Oh yeah, man, that's not going to
for
work very
years.
well, is it?
Yeah. Right. And so that's not really good for you or I. So I would rather, again, let you know up front, like, hey, this is going to work for you, Scott. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. We're going to do X, Y, and Z, and let's move forward. And if I can't, you know, a lender that I work with has a saying that a quick no is better than a long no.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so I kind of think the same way. Like instead of going through years of something that's not going to work, I think out of respect for both of us, I'd much rather tell you, hey, this isn't going to work for you. Go somewhere else or like give you ideas or options. So, but that being said, if I think you're a good fit, I'm going to hound you and tell you like this is the best thing you should be doing, help you understand why, and right,
Yes.
in a position to win. Because sometimes the hardest thing is to say yes when you know it's going to work, but you have a little bit of fear, and we have to
Yeah.
get you past that fear.
Yeah. There's sometimes people have to be ready to be heard they have to be ready to hear the right things, and sometimes that takes a little while.
No.
At the same time, I want to hear it. I want to hear what I need to hear, and that kind of leads me to the next thing. I think that your clients are always asking, consciously or unconsciously, and this one may be unconsciously, but it's just this question: will you tell me the hard truth when I'm BSing myself? I mean, do you have the guts to say that mindset is costing you millions or it's costing you a ton of energy? Can you do that?
I pride myself on doing that. I got in trouble once for saying, like, you're going to love me or hate me. And I enjoy that about other people as well. So, I think that if you have strong opinions, ideals, and values, you're not going to have everybody like you. It's just not possible because of who you are and what you stand for. I think and I respect people that are honest with me. And therefore, I want to make sure that I return that same honesty back to somebody else. So I believe that while some people think that maybe telling you the hard truth would damage the relationship or cause some conflict, I think it's the opposite is true. That honesty is what builds real relationships. And it's actually one of the best deposits that you can make in the trust credit score, right? Is that just telling somebody, hey, this is where we're at, this is what's going on, even if it's hard to say, because
Oh
that
yeah,
shows them a
yeah.
level of understanding.
I agree 300% with you. Not long ago, client had come to me and said, "Hey, I want you to work with me because I want to go here. I want to go up a couple of levels, and I need you to take me there." And then we had some discovery conversation, and I'm just trying to find out about them and some of their core values and some of the things their belief system and after some discovery questions, I realized I I couldn't take them where they wanted to go. And so I could tell there's no reason to keep going. And so I wound the conversation down and I looked him right in the eye and I said, I really like you. I think you're a great person. I think you've got a great potential, but I cannot take you where you want to go. And I said it just like that. I was very
Nice.
firm about it. And they were, you know, taken back a little bit and said, yeah, you can. I've watched you. I know other people that you've coached, and that's why I'm here. I know you can. And I said, no, I can't. Um, you know, I, I can't take you where you want to go. And I think you have a lot of potential, but I'm not the guy who could take you there. And the conversation was over. And
Yeah.
there was no reason to go into the whys. But I knew that there was some conflict in values. There's no way I could have taken them where they wanted to go. So it's just best to say, I can't do it instead of cheating our own integrity or our own self about what we are about and what we believe in just to collect the dime. That doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And I mean, obviously you're a man of value and integrity, and that's why these are important to you, right? And that's why you stand behind them and you behave in alignment with those values. And that's why it's so easy for you to say no when you know it's not right.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, and I think that for me, in a similar fashion, if somebody were to be dishonest with me or not tell me the truth, and I find out about it, now I'm questioning everything else they've told me. And right,
Yeah.
once that starts creeping in your head, like, ooh, well, they lied to me here, or they didn't give me the full truth here. What does that mean for them now? That voice starts creeping in, and now you've lost again that basics of the relationship.
Trust. I
Trust.
mean, trust, is on a scale of 1 to 10. You had me at a 9, and man, we're down to about a 6, and the slide keeps on coming because you're not. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's terrible. That's a terrible way to be.
Yeah. And
Right.
like to your point about helping people get to where they wanted to go and belief systems, that just reminds me of like one of our clients that, you know, had came to me and wanted to start a business and really grow as an individual, but she felt kind of stuck and plateaued in her career. She's like, I don't want to stay here and continue to do this. And I really applauded her for reaching out and taking that first step. Because I think for a lot of people, that first step is the hardest, right? But starting the momentum is hard. Um, and so she came with all these ideas that her parents had implanted her about like what business was. And she had watched them fight as children when she was younger, right, about their business and finances. So she was always very protective and held back from the things she wanted to do. Right. But similar to you mentioned, like we went through the beliefs and like where she wanted to go, and it empowered her through her strengths and her values that this was actually like the best thing for her. And the interesting thing was, so when she came to us, she was scared to talk to her husband and have that honest conversation with him about what she wanted. She's like, I don't know, my parents fought about this. I don't want to fight with my husband about this. Like, it was a big conflict for her. And through
That's a
this
big
value,
deal.
yeah, it is. And so what was interesting is once she got clear on what she wanted and the values and her integrity and really what she was trying to achieve and grow in her life, she had an honest conversation with her husband to find out that he'd wanted the same thing for her the whole
Oh,
time,
that's good.
right? He just didn't want to force her or push her into it because it had to be her decision, right? So now she felt like empowered to do these things. She felt fully supported, and that was a few years ago. And like Love reporting, like she doesn't have one business now. They have two successful businesses together and are completely enjoying life and change the trajectory of their life forever. All by having that hard, trustworthy conversation with each other, and not BSing.
Yeah, I think that's really essential, and um, not everybody can have that right off the bat. Sometimes you have to work up to it, but you come to the conclusion. I've hit a glass ceiling here, and unless I can have that genuine conversation about what's going on, then I can't go any further. I recently read a book. It's been a few months ago about 10x, and one of the things that really grabbed
Was it
my attention.
was it Grant's book?
Yeah, it was. I'm looking for it now in my library. Here it is. Dan Sullivan. Yeah, Dan Sullivan with Benjamin Hardy. That's it. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, Dan Sullivan is a strategic coach, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that he says in that book is when you need something, you have to justify it. I need to have this business. I need to I need something. You have to justify it. When you want it, you don't have to justify it.
Oh, I
Just
like
go
that.
do it. And
Yeah.
that changed my vocabulary and the way I talk about things. Because usually, if you want something, if you want it, you usually have to sacrifice for it. You have to push the boundaries, and you really have to go out there. And that's kind of what I heard about that little story was that somebody moved from needing something to wanting something, and that want pushed them into a conversation that said, "This is something that I want. I don't have to justify it to you. I want it."
Yeah,
So
no,
I
I
love
agree.
that. It's a great story.
Well, thank you. And I love this whole want idea. Like, I like that. I'm gonna have to incorporate that as well.
Yeah, it's a good book. I highly recommend. I listened to it in Audible. I've probably listened to it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
I have another question that we don't almost have to ask, but it's still there. I think if you're in our audience, you have already answered this question for yourself, and that is, Ken, do you radiate energy that I want to match? I mean, when you walk in the room, do I level up or tune out? And so, what kind of are you conscious of your energy? I'm a Change Energizer, so I'm conscious of my energy. How conscious are you of your energy, and what does it do to your clients?
yeah. So I'm very conscious of energy. You might know the statistics, but a lot of communication is energy, body language, things like that, not actually the words. So how you show up is super important. And what I think is interesting is that when somebody says like, "Oh, you're an energizer, you're full of energy," I think there's this belief that that means they're the loudest, boisterous person in the room, doing all these things, and fist pumping like, "Let's go!"
Yeah,
And you're laughing because I think when people hear that, they're like, "Oh, that's energy." But for me, true energy is that calm confidence that you just show up authentically who you are. And that comes from a very deep subconscious place. And you feel it on a subconscious level. So, most people don't say, like, "Oh, I just feel this deep connection," or for some reason I'm radiating at your energy level. I don't think they consciously have that kind of idea or mindset. I think they just feel it, sense it, and then they're comfortable around you, or they feel like they can accomplish something great, or they feel empowered or inspired to do something. And that's how I like to feel that I show up. I show up in a safe enough space where you feel you can tell me what you need to tell me, be honest, and we're going to have a nice dialogue about it. And you're going to leave feeling empowered to do the things you need to do.
yeah. Well, I'm feeling that energy from you right now. And my daughter was an engineer, my dad was an engineer, and so I like physics. And there's a term that I use all the time, and that is kinetic energy. And energy has some definitions, and energy is in one of two forms. Potential energy is energy at rest, and that could be mass, it could be whatever, but it's energy at rest. Potential, man, there's so much it could do. But kinetic energy is how it's described when velocity and action is added to potential energy. And now it's not just sitting where, it's on the move. And I have worked hard to fulfill being a kinetic change energizer. I get things moving. And when you get things moving, stuff happens. And I that's what I hear from you. That's what, taking action will makes the magic happen. So I love that. It's not like you said, it's not doing all this, but you do have to take action.
Well, yeah, action is very important, but you got to make sure it's the right action, that you want to be taking the action to bring the want in, right? And it's moving you towards the direction you want to go. I mean, we've all met people that take action just to take action. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're just being
Yeah.
busy and
Okay,
busy.
hold on. You're jumping past the next question.
Oh,
Will
sorry.
you light a fire under me without burning me out? Are we building a sustainable spirit, or are we doing a short-lived sugar rush? So you were jumping all over this next question. I just had to ask it.
All right. Well, thank you for asking. I guess we'll like go through the 8 questions, but yeah, I think that alignment is very powerful, right? And back when I first started my career and I started talking with people, there's always this idea that a promotion, a raise, a new job, a new watch, car, you name the thing, is going to be the thing that makes them feel fulfilled, right? There's that thing that they're reaching for and that thing that they're trying to acquire. And I know for me personally, like I bought a lot of things that I thought were going to do that for me. And now it's to the point where I don't even take delivery of some items and I'm already over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's going to make it so great. It's going to be perfect. I order it. It's not even here yet. And I'm like, okay, I'm on to the next thing. Like it didn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
Uh, and so when you switch from that thing out there energizing you that's going to bring you fulfillment and you bring it to today and say, okay, who am I today? Exactly.
Yeah.
What do I want? Who's my authentic self? What makes me fulfilled? And you start looking internally instead of externally for the motivation, that's where magic happens and that's where there's real power. So what we help clients do is find that internal motivation, that desire, that want for the things that actually matter to them today so that they know what they're doing and where they're going. And that is what lights a fire for them, right? So it's
Yeah.
not really about finding an energy or creating it for them. It's about showing them where their energy lies, igniting it themselves, and then allowing it to burn as hot as they want to move forward and create the momentum and the change that they're looking for.
Oh yeah, thank you. I love that. I mean, you and I just see eye to eye on all of that. That's one of the reasons that I love some of the assessments that are out there. And you've got one that you have fallen in love with. I use one called the Fascination Advantage. And one of the things that I love about it, or whichever one you use, is when you give it to a client and now they're getting told this is how the world sees you. This is where you're naturally gifted. And I want you to let this give you permission to lean in to where you're naturally gifted. And when you lean in to where you're naturally gifted, then you just become amazing in what you can do. But if you're holding back and you're not being who you're naturally gifted to be, then it's just a disaster for everybody. There's a phrase that I use, and you probably use it too, in some way. We may say it differently, but when I take people through some of those assessments, or I help people to find out who they are, I'll tell them, if you don't have confidence in yourself, borrow the confidence I have in you until you get your own confidence, because I believe that you can do these things. And I've watched people borrow my confidence until they could get their own confidence. And when they got their own confidence, now they're really unstoppable because they're not having to borrow somebody else's, but it's all founded in who they are. I mean, we could go on and on about this. You're in my,
Well, no, I agree with you there. So I think that's great that that you say that. I've heard that from some of my mentors right? My confidence in these deals or my confidence in you, like you can borrow somebody else's confidence because if they believe in you, you know, I forget exact number right off the top of my head, but most of our thoughts are negative
Yeah.
inside our head. So to have somebody's confidence and positive support in your head allows you to move forward like never before
Oh
until you
yeah.
start getting those thoughts yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Man, I'm having fun. Just taking you through this and Ken, it's really cool. I know that, I'm consciously and unconsciously looking at your trust credit score and the, 5 areas and I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm hearing a lot of things that are just rock solid in why I can have confidence and trust in who you are and how you show up in your track record.
Thank you. I've
So
enjoyed the conversation as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, let me ask you a couple more questions. We're not really on a number here, but um, and I think you already have answered the question of this. But are you still hungry, or just coasting on your last big few clients? I mean, we talked about this earlier. Are you still hungry because you want to really see change happen, whether it's with somebody in their personal vision of who they are, or with their passive real estate investments? Tell me where you are on that.
So I had a mentor once tell me that if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And similar to you, I feel like that really resonates with me. It really struck me because the truth is that stagnation feels safe in the moment, but reality, it's a slow death. And once you understand that, you're like, oh, well, I always got to keep going. Like evolution is a part of life. Why would I ever stop? It doesn't have to be stressful, but you always have to be moving forward. And, I see it all the time with clients, whether, a decade into a career, marriage, or just a normal routine, right? It's like, check the box. I did these things today and we're done. And they call it living. And I think it's surviving. You're just going through the motions. So to me, life is all about experience, new challenges, new adventures, and working towards something meaningful. Like that's why I started Seize the Second. It's like I can help more people create a better life for themselves, a better future, all by just being more of themselves. Like I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just showing you who you already are and letting you thrive. And that kind of fulfillment is what keeps me alive, right? And when you just see that kind of growth all the time, it burns inside of you. You keep that, that fire going. You're always passionate about what you're doing. If you can't tell, I get really passionate. That's why I talk so fast. I think I mentioned
Yeah.
to you once, I need to learn to slow down because I'm like, I just want to tell you everything. Uh, so you add that to like the learner and the achiever in me, and you're like, oh, you can talk about anything for a long time and just it's to breathe. Um, so yes, I'm always pushing myself and trying to grow and really, as I mentioned early in the call or the show, like the future that I'm creating is bigger now than I ever expected. And I think for a
That's
lot of
great.
people, especially our like coaching clients or different people, they set a goal of like, oh, when I make, just throw out a number, when I make 100 grand, things will be easier, right? And they had that belief when they were in their 20s. Now it's 20 years later, they're making 200 grand a year, right? And they're like not even, they don't remember when they thought 100 was a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because they haven't looked back. And again, they just get stuck there and they feel plateaued, stagnant, and they've lost that drive and that desire because they just got stuck in the rat race. And I think that yeah, taking the power to step out of that, figure out who you are, and continue to grow and experience life fully for as long as you can is just one of the best things you can do and is actually truly living.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in celebrating milestones, and they don't have to be big milestones. But when you do hit something good, then celebrate and thank your team and thank yourself. Um, but I've also found how valuable it is to look back over your shoulder and look back over your shoulder and say, okay, so what have we done? Now, sometimes some people take that as, oh well, you're just you're not supposed to be all puffed up about who you are. Well, you're not supposed to necessarily be puffed up about who you are and have an ego. And there's a difference between having an ego and having a confidence that I'm, my background is the ministry, and you know, David said when he was facing Goliath, I killed a lion and I killed a bear. I can take care of this guy. And for him to be able to look back over his shoulder and say, here's some things that I did do. Now I can move forward with this other thing. And then about retirement, I mean, I could retire today, but I would get so bored and I would drive my wife nuts and my neighbors nuts, and so I'm not interested in it until they tell me quit coming, don't do that anymore. I'm gonna stay here because I love what I do, and you just have to stay on the edge of growth. And man, with this AI stuff, it is like what a curve up.
Right.
Are you finding that to be true too?
Oh, definitely. So, and I'd say that, it's interesting you talk about retirement and, everybody has a different, I think, definition of what work is. I enjoy what I do. I don't feel like I'm working. This conversation's been great. Like, I could do this all day long. I'm sure you could too. But I think it's really about having a passion towards what you're doing, right? So I know I have clients that are retired now that, really dive into like a charity or some type of philanthropy that really is a cause that resonates with them. Or, I have different clients that are moving to a different country to like learn a new culture and like immerse themselves in that. And like that takes a lot of courage to do those type of things because it is very uncomfortable. You're constantly be learning, and it's them always pushing themselves to just be a better person, have more experience. And again, I think that at the end of the day, like we're here to experience life to its fullest, and you have to do that by pushing yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree completely. Well, I want to, as we're starting to pull this thing in for a landing, I want to ask you just a couple of other things. So I know that for you to, somebody told me one time, Scott, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. You can do it on your own and just do great things. But if you want to go big and you want to go far and you want to change the world, you're going to have a team of people that can be the experts where you're not the expert. And so, I'm sure that you've got a team that helps you um, with your passive income and 1031. And then you also have a team that helps you with your coaching and your consulting. So tell me some of the team members that you have or the experts that you have that help you take your clients where they need to go. Who would those be? Not names, but
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah. So we have a large team. Yes. I mean, I've heard that same thing before, right? If you want to go quick, go by yourself, go far, have a team. Um, which is interesting. Kind of off topic, but recently I was at a conference and I forget his name right now, but it's okay. But he did 100 triathlons in 100 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And so a triathlon is an individual experience. Right? You're doing
Yeah.
it by yourself.
Yeah.
But he had a huge team around him. And it's on Netflix. You could watch. Like hundreds of people would show up to ride the bike with him every day. And so like that's what kept him moving is like that energy of the team.
Pull the energy from the team. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really left a profound impact on me because I haven't done one Ironman. So to be standing next to somebody that did 100, I'm like, 100 days. I felt a little uneasy, but it's okay. I'll like get to that when that's something I want to do. I'll
Yeah.
do an Ironman. But you're right. We have a full team. So on the wealth management and the real estate side, we have experts that do due diligence on every deal, on different asset managers that make sure the exchanges are done properly. We coordinate with outside sources to do those. And we have experts that kind of handle everything in that front. And I really manage the relationship and the allocation. And then on the coaching side, COVID has its blessings in that everybody's life kind of shifted. And so during that time, when I started the coaching business, one of my best friends, who I think is an incredible coach, obviously one of my best friends, so a great person, uh, was looking to transition kind of to like next phase of her life. And she has this uncanny ability to see your potential and want to like walk you from where you are today to there.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible and everybody just loves her. And I mean, again, one of my best friends. So she was able to join us at the Sees the Second, got certified as a coach, did the strengths assessments and all of that. And like working with her and like the rest of our team on the marketing and AI for marketing and all the different things has been great. But for me, like having a best friend, creating a company that's about legacy and transforming lives and the ripple effect that that'll have for everybody around us in the world is probably one of the best things I could have ever thought about doing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It just makes a team. And when you have the team of experts and they're proficient and you have confidence in them and together they're in alignment with where you want to go. One of the big deals that I'm doing right now is I'm working with merger and acquisition attorneys so that when a company merges, then what? Because
Okay.
those people sit, looking across the aisle and, you're from a different company and now we're the same company and I don't trust you. And how do you merge those teams and get them into alignment? You can just do so much more when people are in alignment.
Right. Creating that alignment is kind of what we were talking about the whole time. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I have loved having you on the show today. This has been refreshing and encouraging. I love where you're going and what you're doing, Ken.
thank you. I just wanted to say, it came up to me when we were talking about teams and you talk about trusting your team. As I mentioned, I do multiple days in silence every year now for years. That is an incredible amount of trust in your team because you don't know what they're doing or what's happening for a long time, right? Even if you're on vacation, most people check their emails, right? Or
5 business days is a
yeah,
long time.
yeah, and it puts a lot of empowerment to your team to do the things that they think is best, and I think they respect that. And when you give them the opportunity to show up, to make decisions, and do the thing that they think is best, most team members want to show up and they want to do the right thing. And so I think that is a great way. Maybe it's something you can incorporate some time away from the office to let the team step up. But
Yeah.
for me, that's one of the best things that it's a byproduct of spending time in silence is the team gets to step up and really take themselves and their power and their authority to the next level.
Yeah. I love that. Now I'm inspired to go to Machu Picchu and take a 5-day vacation and let everybody else pick up the phone.
Just go, just breathe and soak in the energy.
That's right. That's right. Well, Ken, thank you so much for being our guest today. You've been great on the hot seat. You've answered a lot of great questions, and I feel the energy coming from you. If people want to discover their purpose or if they want to really take advantage of passive real estate income, what is a good way to get in contact with you?
Yeah. KenKladouris.com is the easiest way. And otherwise, platinumwealthgroup.com or seizethesecond.com.
I want to thank you, Ken. Thank you so much for being with us, taking time out of your busy schedule. You're on the West Coast. I'm here in Austin, Texas. And so all of this Zoom makes it possible to have a real great conversation. So let's keep the conversation going. Now, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I'd like to get in that hot seat, then get in touch with me. Calltheenergizer.com is a good way to book a call with me, and we'll talk about whether or not you're a fit for being in the hot seat. Or if you want to bring me into your company and you think that it would be great to put some people in your company in the hot seat and talk about trust and elevate your trust culture, then give me a call. We'd love to talk to you, love to come and spend some time with you. So this is Scott Carley, the Change Energizer. Take what you've heard today. You heard a lot of great stuff. Find a way to put it into action. Get a hold of Ken if he can help you in any of these areas. And I look forward to our next conversation.